things got to change around. We got to get the show over to this Studio B. So it's all back, and everyone's kind of like, France, they're coming back to the different links and trying to figure it out. But we are going to have a show, and Freddie Wehbe, and I hope Shane Matthews and Franz Beard. We're all here for the Buddy Martin Show. Francis, hello, how are you, sir? How's your Wi-Fi?
My Wi-Fi is really good.
Good. Yeah, I feel good about that.
Not only that, I have my handy dandy iPhone with which I can go on my
anytime
hotspot, and I can be as hot or as cold as I choose to be. Right now, I choose to be. Right now, I choose to be hot.
You are so hot. Buddy had some mic issues, so he's going to re-mic, and he texted this and that. But we'll be back right after this short interlude. Welcome to the show.
For Buddy Martin, call him up and tell him what you're thinking. But be kind because he's doing the best he can.
Better, stronger, faster.
Mama says that alligators are ornery because they got all them teeth but no toothbrush.
Hey, what if the voice calls while you're gone?
Take a message.
Bye.
You ready, champ?
I'm ready for this my whole life.
I'm incapable of small talk. But that's why you love me, right?
Kind of intimidating to be in the presence of so many great athletes.
Well, as we're endeavoring to get the rest of the crew on board here, Francis, on the SS, I don't know. What are we? The SS, I don't know. I was, I just rushed to the studio. I'm sort of not fresh. I need something here. Like, I'm not really popping right now. See, like the SS Minnow.
Yeah, something like that. By the way, you should try Black Rifle coffee in a can, cold, with 300 milligrams of caffeine.
Get it done, Francis.
It is a kick in the butt and a slap you silly in the face to get you going in the morning.
I kind of like that.
Just
kind of like the not gonna lie.
Just a cup of coffee won't do it, but Black Rifle, which is owned by and started by veterans of Iraq and Afghanistan.
Wow.
And they started their own coffee company. Their coffee is good. They got it in pods. They got it ground. And now they got it cold in cans. And it's
bam.
That's 300 milligrams of eye-popping caffeine, which, if you're a gator these days and times, is very, very important.
Yeah, well, it is important. That kind of coffee makes me want to have a safe word. Hi-yo!
You remember the days of Ed McMahon. That was his line.
Hello to everybody out there.
Robert Turner, Emory was an undrafted free agent. He also holds a record for being the only quarterback in history to be the starting quarterback for 3 different teams and quarterback all 3 teams to a losing record.
Say it again.
He is the only quarterback in NCAA history to quarterback 3 teams consecutively as the starter and post a losing record with all 3.
That's pretty impressive stat, and impressive that you've said that twice exactly the same. Buddy Martin Jones' show. Buddy.
Happy birthday, bud.
Happy birthday!
Yeah. What a birthday, huh?
Happy birthday.
Yeah. Beautiful. I will say I had a beautiful birthday Friday night. Thanks to our upcoming guest, Freddie Wehbe. We went to Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and had the perfect meal. Carswell Ponder, my host where I'm staying here in Ocala, and myself and Dawn and her sister Nell, and we put it on Friday night. I had the best ribeye I've ever eaten in my life. In fact, I've retired from eating ribeyes. It can never be as good as it was then. And it was a wonderful night. The HBC came by. He was willing to sign the book of my wife, Dawn, a Seminole, which is really surprising. It was just a grand evening. I would tell you the meal was as good as you want to eat. So it was really good. If you haven't been there, France, I know you have. It was just wonderful. And what a weapon. I wrote about it in Gatorback today. What a recruiting weapon this place is. Because they bring players in here in NIL, they go, wow. You mean you got this? Yes, we got this. So it was great. But thank you for the birthday greetings, everybody. Appreciate it. Sorry I wasn't able to get on tonight, but sometimes the demons of technology do you in, Brendan.
Well, they like to do you in more than most. So, are you there?
I'm here.
Anyway, guys, I got to tell you what. Tomorrow is, if the 15th of April was all hell breaks loose day because the portal opened, tomorrow is all hell breaks loose even bigger than ever before day, because tomorrow at midnight the portal closes. And now that means that anybody that's already in the portal, you have to declare by then. Otherwise, the NCAA will figure it out on what they're going to do next. But the portal closes at midnight tomorrow night. And I would expect, judging by what I'm seeing right now, I would expect there is going to be all sorts of activity really, really happening tomorrow as far as declarations. Once you're in, you've got time to pick and choose where you're going to go. And that goes for both football and basketball. But here's the thing: is you can't enter the portal after midnight tomorrow night.
After
allegedly.
Midnight, we all hang out.
Florida.
That's your jam, France.
Florida has only, I think Florida has been hurt less by the portal in both football and in basketball than anybody out there. I'm looking at the rest of the SEC, and Florida has not lost a single starter in football. And while Riley Kugel certainly is the single most talented player they had on the 2023-24 roster, he was also the single most inconsistent and didn't start the last month of the season, I would say. So Florida probably has been hurt less by the portal than any team in the SEC. I think that's going to help greatly in football. And Buddy, as you can tell, I'm sure you've been reading the comments. There's a lot of people who've been like way over here thinking Florida is going to be absolute toast for everybody this year. And they're moving to the middle here, expecting Florida football to be much, much better and much improved. Even Conor O'Gara wrote that he's becoming less convinced that Florida will have a trash season than ever before. I thought that was pretty interesting on his part. Basketball, everybody has the Gators now trending toward the top 10 in basketball based on what Todd Golden's done in the portal. So it's been a really good 15 days for the Florida Gators and the transfer portal, I would say.
I think you're right. The mood has lifted a bit. And I heard Derek Wingo. I don't get Spinebomb over here, but I did hear a replay of his interview with Derek Wingo. And we know from having him on how good he is, what an upbeat young man he is. He was wonderful. What a representative he was. And he talked about how good things are right now for the players. They have a plan. They have a message. The players feel confident. They're being coached well. And it is a different atmosphere. And even Feinbaum said, this is impressive to me because he's been dogging the Gators for a couple of years. So it is, you're right. It is beginning to, I wouldn't say we're talking about waving any flags just yet, but things are getting better, Francis, and the recruiting part of that in basketball is very indicative. What an unbelievable portal job Todd Golden's had with the players he's got, especially on defense. And as you wrote today, Francis, if they can improve their defensive game, get a little defense out of their guards every now and then, they've got fantastic rim protectors. And if those guys come back that are now thinking of going to the draft, this basketball team will be one to reckon with. The football team has got to get out of the gate on a good start. They got that. If they have a chance to win, it'll be the first 6 games. If they can hold it together, if they can somehow win 5 games, somehow, and that's possible, it's winnable. And then you get in the back half and win a couple of those, win 7 games. They've had a really good year. And let's face it, you think Florida's the only team having problems? No. Every team has shortages, problems, issues. So I really like their progress. You're right, friends. In the last 15 days, last say 3 weeks, 4 weeks, things have begun to take a turn for the better. Now we'll see how much better they get over the summer. Remember, too, friends, we've gone through these issues with players getting in trouble in the summer. It has been a problem in the past. It's not a problem right now. You don't see many Gators on flea spotters.
No, you don't, and that's one of the things I think that was underrated about the last 2 years. And I say underrated because everybody's been paying attention to a lot of other things. But one thing about it is Billy Napier said, if you remember, buddy, because you were at that first press conference, we're going to change the culture here. And I think they've done that. I think they've done a tremendous job of changing the culture. And that was done, Feinbaum and everybody else laughed about Billy Napier and his army. But you want to know something? If it's an army that it takes to get these kids in class, graduating, staying off the police blotters, having a real shot at a career beyond football, which is what this Gator Made program is all about. If that's what it takes, then by golly, then it's worth every daggum dime that's been invested in it, because it's like that, they've been to New York, they've been to Tokyo. I understand they're going to South Africa. Even they're changing kids' lives and letting them see beyond their hometowns. How many of these kids had ever been outside the country before they got involved in this? And what an experience! Did you
hear Wingo talking about that on Feinbaum?
I haven't heard that interview yet.
Yeah, he's going to Hawaii here in a few weeks. He's been every year. Gator Made they've gone abroad as part of this deal, and they've had an unbelievable experience traveling to foreign countries. And Wingo is such a sharp guy. He has quite a backstory, friends. His mother moved him. She moved with him, and he went down to Fort Lauderdale to go to high school down there to play. And then he committed to Penn State, and she was ready to move to Pennsylvania. And then he went to Florida, and she came to Gainesville. She opened a cupcake shop up to help support Derek. And they've been together, and he's a 3-time all-academic guy. He's a terrific young man, and he's a great representative, and he's a good player. He's not a great player, but he's a great leader. So that's the kind of stuff you want to build your program around.
Well, he could be a great player if he could ever just stay healthy, and that's been his issue.
That's true.
Is health. And let me throw something in here, since we're all friends. We can talk about it, and I think the people listening in are friends too. This is one of the things that the NCAA, and I hate to get on the rail against the NCAA, but you know how I feel about them. In 1996, kids were coming to them and saying, let us finish school. Give us health care to take care of our injuries after we get out of school. And the NCAA fought it all the way. And this is one of the things that you see a kid like Derek Wingo, who's been injured a lot. And you have to wonder, how many of these injuries, how is it going to carry over into real life? And thank God we've got things now like initiatives that allow for insurance beyond this. But it should have happened, buddy, 25 years ago. You know that as well as I do. It should have happened 30 years ago. Give these kids, I mean, let's be real for a second. They're entertainers, okay? They play a game for our entertainment. That's what they do. We can go pull for good old Florida U and be entertained 12 Saturdays a year. And if we're lucky, we get extra games. And then what happens when it's over? I mean, you look at the injuries Carlos Alvarez had. I mean, devastating injuries. It kept him from going on to becoming a successful professional football player. And you and I both know, after seeing him his sophomore year, what kind of pro he could have been had there been extended health care, had there been better health care then. So I'm all for these guys getting an expanded experience. I'm all for a coach like Billy Napier, who puts the health of his players first and foremost. And that's one of the things that's very underrated about Billy. He does put their health first and foremost.
Yeah, you're right about that, Franz. And there's no doubt about the fact that's a very important part of it. Let me just say this real thanks to all my sponsors tonight. This is Meldon Law Monday, and we appreciate Meldon Law and what they do. They, of course, won't back down. They would like you to know if you have a case that you have with another attorney that's not going well and you want to have it reviewed, like a second opinion of a doctor, give them a call at Meldon Law. They'll look at it and tell you if they think something else could be done different. Not trying to poach people, just want to protect you. As you know, Jeffrey Meldon is a huge Gator fan. He's very generous in his giveaways and tickets to events. He's a sponsor of many things, including this program. And Meldon Law wants you to know they're there for you. They're Gators, and they're there for you. So Meldon Law, they won't back down. Thank you for that, guys.
All right.
I think we've got Freddie Wehbe standing by somewhere, and he will join us momentarily. There he is. We got a special engagement tomorrow night, Freddie. First of all, I want to also thank you for a fantastic evening at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. I got to say, of all the things we had with our dinner there, getting the HBC to come by and meet my bride, and also all of the family, you were so generous and you're helpful. We paid for our meal, folks. We didn't get it free. We're gladly paid for it, and every penny was well spent. And I will say the topper for me was, in addition to having a great night at the restaurant, you know, I've always liked the restaurant, but I was so impressed. It was, I wrote a column, it was the perfect way to spend a birthday for myself. Brendan, although he wasn't there was a cake with his name on it. Dawn, and the HBC's birthday, we didn't get his name on the cake, was April 20th. But what topped it off was, in addition to having a wonderful meal, friends, and a great night there. And our server, whose name I could never get right, so I'll call her LeBron. I guess she'll be called LeBron from now on. It was just a wonderful, one of those evenings where everything was great. We went to take our things to the car, our baggie, take-home baggies, and a couple of things we bought, whatever, including one of those great books that somebody wrote for Spurrier. And we thought we had our server, LeBron, helping us at the car. Looked up to put the stuff in. Freddie was bringing the stuff out to the car. Now, that's what you call service, friends. Freddie Wehbe, the operator. And by the way, just to explain, folks, you were not just you were the founder. It was your idea. This whole thing with Steve Spurrier Grand Grill was your baby.
Good evening, buddy. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us at the restaurant. Yes, the restaurant is become a destination for Gator Nation and for foodies across North Central Florida. And we're blessed. We're blessed with what we have. But as you know, success is realizing you can't get to the top and stay there. You have to look for the next highest mountain. And we continue to work hard on the basics, hiring great people, surrounding ourselves with good talent, taking care of our managers, and providing great experience for our guests.
If I can, friends, I'm going to give you a little trivia question here. These are some facts that Freddie revealed off to us. He didn't like to brag, so he didn't say this. My friend Carlos Ponder was fascinated. He and Nell Brown went on a tour that Freddie took him on. They were so blown away by this. Did you know out of how many people they interviewed before hiring one person, friends?
Somebody told me once it was something like 92 or 93 people.
500. 1 in 500. Am I right, Freddie?
That's correct.
1 in 500. You know, they have 67 people who were with them when they started this thing almost 3 years ago, still with him, right, Freddie?
That's correct.
Yeah. And here's the one that blew me away. I hope I'm saying this right. Steve Spurrier's Gridiron Grill is the #1 celebrity restaurant in the country.
That's
by any
correct.
measure you like to try, and including profitability. Now that's pretty good stuff right there, friends.
That's extraordinarily good stuff because it beats John Calipari's restaurant. I think Cal's restaurant was until he kind of fell out of favor with all the Kentucky fans, and of course his restaurant now. I would imagine that it's a ghost town in Lexington since he's moved on to Arkansas.
Yeah, Freddie. And I know that the numbers you gave us, and we're not trying to just do a paid commercial for Spurgers. We're trying to tell you about some remarkable numbers and things, success story that they have, because this has become, friends, a recruiting weapon for the Gators.
Oh, absolutely.
They woke up one day and thought, "Oh my gosh, this will help us get players."
I talk to kids all the time who tell me that they go there and being able to, okay, there's Spurrier's helmet, there's his shoe, there's championship rings, there's the helmet display. Freddie, I don't know, who was that, your idea, the display of all the helmets there?
It was, but really, it's not about whose idea. This is a team effort. A lot of great ideas all combined into what you see there. It's a hybrid museum and restaurant, and you support.
I'm trying to pat you on the back, Freddie. Take it,
He won't do it. He won't take
it. Let me give you a
He
callus there. That helmet display. More recruits that I have talked to say that when they get there and they see all those helmets right there that Spurrier represented, that just blows their mind away. And they also like a retractable roof on the bar upstairs.
The visors. It's not just the bar, it's the visors. Where there are how many visors of Spurrier's?
140.
147.
Huh?
147.
147 is what Carlson says. Is that correct, Freddie?
Well, close enough. 146.
Okay, there you go. 146, yeah. So, yeah, they have that going on too. It's an amazing place. Freddie, and one more thing. Tell them the number of people you serve in a week. I couldn't believe it. On a Friday night, on a Friday alone, how many do you, and you don't serve lunch, how many do you serve?
We serve plenty of folks. We're blessed, and we want to continue doing so.
Yeah. Well, congratulations. There's that beautiful place right there. And I got to tell you, and I wrote this column, I've been there many times, but when you roll up on Celebration Point at nighttime, it's all lit up, and you see this site, and there's a pavilion out front where they're playing music, and, it's all lit up, and you look for the crowds because people are just converging on that place. It's if you haven't tried it, I got to tell you, it's an experience. And if you go there to eat a hamburger, you'll love it, but also the tour of the place is really something where you see what's going on with all the artifacts and the rings and the trophies and such. It's becoming quite a place. So I'll just say one thing. I'm a little bit unhappy. It was a perfect evening, and I came home and said, okay, it can't be totally flawless. There's got to be something. Nothing was wrong. And so I ordered a sandwich to take home with me. And it was a particular sandwich that I liked a lot because it was my idea, Freddie, to get the Johnson City tomato sandwich. And the chefs put together something of a grilled cheese and tomato sandwich. I got to tell you, that's the one thing. I got to have some tomato slices on my tomato sandwich. Can you see if you can try that? Maybe put a slice of tomatoes on the plate or something, because I like a slice. It's really good with what it is. It's mixed in with the cheese. That's the only minor thing I saw, other than the fact I couldn't drink the kick. I couldn't get it down to drink. It was, man, that was powerful.
We will make that happen, buddy.
That's like it. Otherwise, perfection. Let's talk about Patrick Young.
Patrick Young will be at our restaurant tomorrow, signing books, his new memoir. And what a great story. This is beyond Patrick Young, the basketball player. This is beyond Patrick Young, the announcer for SEC Network. This is an inspiring memoir that chronicles his life. And for me, some people complain about tomatoes. Some people complain about life.
Oh, come on now.
Some people complain about, coaches and losses. But truly, here's a man that can complain because he was in an accident, because he was left paralyzed, because he's in a wheelchair. He can complain and he does not. And his story is inspiring. And to me, it's an absolute must for every person to get this book and read it. And if you're in the Gainesville area or you drive by and come up tomorrow between 11 and 1, he's bringing 150 books. He's doing his radio show with Terry
Norvell.
Yep, from there, from 11 to 1, he's going to sign the books. And I'm honored to help him with this and really set it up at Spurrier's. We're opening specially just for him. We're typically not open for lunch. And he'll be there. And what a great story. Someone that teaches us about attitude and perseverance and, sit to rise. There it is. Sit to rise is the name of the book.
Is that backwards? I can't tell.
It's close enough.
Maybe
You
it
can
is.
get it on Amazon.
Yeah.
But what a great story about perseverance, about hanging in there, about not complaining. I told my two boys, I have a 12-year-old and a 16-year-old, is you don't have the right to complain about anything anymore. Here's a man, listen, read, and learn how to stay positive and turn a negative into a positive. And that's what he's doing. And he's inspiring all of us, whether you're basketball or not basketball. This tragedy is turning into something very, very, very positive. It's a testament to his human spirit. It's a testament to his upbringing, to his faith. And I think what a great, great story. And go on Amazon, grab the book, or come in tomorrow and come get a book autographed and support Patrick Young. I know Coach Golden's going to stop by. A few of the players on the team will be there as well to support him because he's a Gator and he will always be a Gator. He's a Gator great. And here's a man that had an accident in 2022, in June of 22, that was in the hospital for 120 plus days, that almost lost his life. He's paralyzed on a wheelchair and never once complains, does his job and does it well. And he's an inspiration for all of us.
Freddie, if anybody is going to walk from a wheelchair, Patrick Young is going to be the guy that gets it done. I've never talked to anybody more determined to get up out of that chair and walk, even though he's told me how painful it is when he gets up out of that chair. It's a painful thing, and he endures it because he has a goal of one day he's going to walk down that aisle with his daughter when she gets married. I mean, you want to talk about something that's inspiring. That's inspiring right there.
Agreed. And there's a foreword of the book is by Billy Donovan, his coach, and our national champion coach for the Gators, and he says, this book is a reminder that even in life's darkest moments, hope and triumph will prevail. And as Franz just said, it is very inspiring. And yes, he will walk out of that chair because he is Patrick Young.
We were fortunate to have Patrick on last week, and I really enjoyed our conversation. And he shared with us a story about his accident in Nebraska. It was a very emotional time for him. And I asked him to reflect back on that because he dwells on the fact that this molded his character. He said when he was a player, he had a guy that helped him with this, saying that the bad things you have will help shape your character. And he said, in that regard, I wouldn't take anything from my experience. And he talked about what it was like that day when his car went off the side and went down to a ravine. He was there, couldn't get out. His back was broken, injured. What a horrifying moment. And as he relived that moment, Freddie, you saw it, he began to weep. He reached for his Kleenex for a moment, and I realized then that we struck a sensitive nerve, and I backed off and let him tell the story and said, you know what, thank you for sharing that, because as terrible as it was for him, as much as it was for his life, and you wouldn't want that for anybody, that moment, that thing has really made him even more lovable, and his character shines through. And as an analyst on Friends on SEC Network, what he does, he's becoming a beloved guy and a guy that reaches out to people and reaches people. And one of the people he reached is our friend Tom Ingram, who is having dinner tomorrow night with Patrick there tomorrow night, who had a similar experience, had a stroke of his spine, could not walk. And they reached out to each other and talked. they become sort of email pals. And so tomorrow night, Tom and his wife Jen will join us for dinner with Patrick, and that's a special bond forever, Freddie.
It sure is. And your amazing producer, Brendan, just put the QR code on the screen. It's on the right of the camera. You can order the book from that QR code through Amazon, or you can click Amazon and look for the book. Thank you, Brendan, for doing so. And yes, we're honored to have you all at Spurrier's tomorrow evening. And then again, the book signing is from 11 o'clock until 2 p.m. in the afternoon. I know there's only 150 books available, so the first 150 folks will get that book. And if not, they'll take your address and ship you one as well.
All right, Freddie, you can't get out of here without putting your other hat on for a second. Friends, Florida victorious. It's a new day, I think, friends.
Well, it has to be, because you look at what happened with Texas. Texas has taken things to a new level. And I hate to say that everybody's chasing them, but everybody is chasing Texas. But I know this. If you have the right people, we have 450,000 living alumni at the University of Florida. And the way Texas has gone about it isn't the only way. What's the old saying? There's more than one way to skin a cat. If there is more than one way to skin this cat, Freddie will figure it out. And I know that because I've talked to so many coaches who tell me that they are truly confident that Freddie and Florida Victorious are going to get the job done, and that Florida is going to take a backseat to nobody when it comes to NIL.
Well, it's a lot of pressure on you, Freddie, to do that. On you, you're already wearing 3 hats.
You know, my role right now is really expose the branding and the awareness of Florida Victorious. We've achieved that. Coach Napier was in Fort Lauderdale today through his Caravan speaking tour, and everybody knew what Florida Victorious is down in South Florida and in Jacksonville and in Tampa. We've put the word out. We're changing the mantra. It's important for every Gator. Like Fran said, it's actually over 500,000 alumni, Fran's, and there's 3.2 million fans. There's 3.2 million Gator fans, only 500,000 alumni. If they each give just $10, we achieve the goal, we become number one. I don't care about Texas. We should care about Florida. Yeah. Florida was always number one. It's always, I look at the draft, that's a good telling. You know, we're in the top 5 of players in the NFL. There are Gators in the NFL almost on every team. And to look what's happened in the last couple of years, that's unacceptable. To have one person drafted is unacceptable. And that will not change until we change what Florida Victorious is doing, and we bring in more money and we bring in more talent and build a team. Every organization, I don't care if it's a restaurant, a football team, a church, or a school, you win by talent. You win by the quality of the talent you have on board. And talented players grow and develop and go in the NFL. And our football team is a good indication. Our basketball team excelled this past year because of talent. They will do so again. And every sport will win because of what Florida Victorious is doing. And yes, NIL rules will change and things will dissipate and things will alter at the end, but nothing's going to change when it comes to collecting money to bring talent in.
Freddie, I know you as an optimist, a guy who likes to, believe you can, also know you're a pragmatist. And you don't BS your way through things if the facts don't speak. Using your most objective voice and position, tell us where we are now at Florida Victorious versus where we were before you got there. Don't go back to the days of Jason Machado, who, by the way, is going to Georgia. But tell us where you see the progress and how fast is it going?
The progress has been great. Like I said, the most important thing is people know what Florida Victorious is. They know our purpose, our goal, our mission, from the north border to Key West, all the way to Pensacola. Gator fans know what we do, and we're starting to see the support. We were helped. If you look at the spring game, it was all about Florida Victorious. 48,000 people came because of Florida Victorious. I look at Florida State had 18,000. Miami had 1,000 fans. We had 48,000 fans because we're the University of Florida. The future is very bright. People are joining. We're over 30, almost 3,200 members now. We're going to continue to grow and grow this thing. And one thing, I mean, from a timing perspective, how cool is this? Do you know who's on the Florida Victorious Advisory Board? Patrick
No.
Young. Patrick
Really?
Young. Yes.
Wow.
Yes, and this is this is all about timing, right? Patrick is a
Yeah.
supporter, and I say this for a reason. It's going to take every former Gator athlete to support Florida Victorious. Every former coach, every fan needs to support Florida Victorious. Whether you give money or not, you can be an advisory. You can tell people how good we are, who we are, why it's important to support us. This is how we win as the official or the proud partner of the Florida Gators. We are the official collective, and we want to continue doing so. And it's going to take folks like Patrick Young, who supports Florida Victorious. Danny Warfel is on the advisory board now. And we need to continue that and get every athlete to help us. Because if they say the right things, guess what? 3.2 million fans will support Florida Victorious. And the perception of I have to give $500,000 is not true. It's $10 at a time. Membership starts at $15. Okay? This is all collectively. You talk about Texas France, that's how they're doing it. That's how other schools are doing it, but who gives a damn? I know we have 3.2 million fans, and together we will win together and help our Gators win.
This is what IPTAY has done, Freddie, and the IPTAY model started in 1934 is still as effective a model of getting an entire fan base involved as there is anywhere in the country. And, people wonder how little old Clemson, which has maybe a third of the living alumni of the University of Florida, they're succeeding in all their sports. They've won national championships in football in the last 10 years. How are they doing it? IPTAY. IPTAY does it, and you got the right approach, Freddie.
We do, and I highly, for all the people listening today or right now, go to floridavictorious.com and check out the 3 options you can help. Like I said, membership starts at $15, and you're in good hands. Florida Victorious are good people. It's a team of 13 now and growing. We're adding more people next week. Stay tuned for that. Big name that's joining us as well. But the key is it's going to take everyone for us to win. And when you support Florida Victorious, you're supporting an organization that does it right, that follows the rules, that will follow compliance, and that works closely with the university and the athletic department to do everything right. Today at the Caravan, Sean Kelly asked Coach Napier, why Florida Victorious? Why is it important for everyone in this room to help Florida Victorious? And Coach Napier said it's the only way you can help the Florida Gators, is supporting Florida Victorious. And that's the head man himself saying that.
Hey, Freddie, I have heard also through the grapevine that President Ben Sass of the University of Florida is a very big fan of Florida Victorious, and that he is promoting it as well. Is that's a fact? I'm sure.
That's a fact, and so should he. At the end, we are supporting the Florida Gators. That's all we do. 100% of all we do and work on is the Florida Gators. And another important statistic and data, and I love data, 90 cents of every dollar that comes in goes directly to the student athlete. Right now we're funding over 200 athletes. Ultimately, we want to fund 500, all 500 plus, and it's going to take more money to get there, but 90% of every dollar coming in goes directly to the student athlete.
Freddie, I know you had a long day, and I'm going to ask you one more thing before I let you go. We're going over time here for a second. I want you to share with our audience your billboard idea, which is massive. Another one of your ideas immediately, and trying to tell people who Florida Victorious is. Explain what you've done with the billboards.
We put in, thanks for bringing that up, buddy. We put a plan together about 9 weeks ago, and part of it was the billboards. We have 72 billboards all the way from Miami to Jacksonville to Tampa, Orlando, Lakeland, Ocala, just to let people know and get some awareness to what Florida Victorious is. We support it with some digital media, some radio buys, and then promoting the spring game through Florida Victorious. Really, the objective is let people go to our website and learn what we are. There was a little bit of lack of knowledge of what Florida Victorious is. It was all merged with the previous collective who did not do it right. And this is why I stress the Florida Victorious team does things right. You can trust them 100%. And we need to tell our story, and we need to shout it out from the rooftops. We've done that through billboards. The campaign has worked. Our brand is stronger than ever. Our awareness is highest than ever. And hopefully that will help us down the road to grow more members and more donors as well.
Freddie, maybe thanks so much for everything you do. Thanks again for a fantastic Friday night at the restaurant. We'll be back there tomorrow night. And I got to say, as I said in my column, it was a perfect evening, and you made it that way. And Coach Spurrier, so thank you for that, and thank you for what you're doing. We'll talk to you tomorrow night with Patrick.
You got it. Thank you. Again, I want to remind everyone the book signing is from 11 till 2. I know, buddy, your listeners are from everywhere. So whether you're in Orlando, Ocala, St. Augustine, Jacksonville, Gainesville, it's a short drive. Come up, support this great Gator. He deserves it. His book is amazing. If you can't make it, scan the QR code on the screen and get the book, and he'll sign it for you as well.
All right. Thanks, brother, for putting that up there. And thank you, Freddie. We'll talk to you tomorrow night.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, France.
Thanks,
Time
Freddie.
to tell you folks about TitanMRI.com, one of our many sponsors. We appreciate so much their support of this program and what they're doing, making it easier for you. If you need an MRI, it's not something we'd like to look forward to, but when you need one, you need one. And sometimes it's just hard to get there. It takes hours and hours and hours to get it done. But North Central Florida now has the newest premier independent diagnostic testing for MRIs. And they're excited to let you know that Titan MRI now open and serving the greater Gainesville and Ocala, North Central Florida area, focused on you, the patient, having a great customer service experience. We know more of the people who lead a busy life, and although have regular business hours there for you, they also can make a special case for you. You can make available by appointment evenings and weekends in order to meet your scheduling needs for your MRI. The MRI equipment is modern. The MRI unit has one of the largest bores or openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units. You don't have to worry too much about claustrophobia, which Franz Beard does when he gets some of those things, and I have. So they do it all for you. Check them out. Go to TitanMRI.com. By the way, if you don't have insurance, no problem. They take cash or card, and it's reasonable. TitanMRI.com. Franz, give me your overview of the NFL draft. I didn't watch too much of it. You said we know what Ricky Pearsall did. Your take on the NFL draft?
Well, from a Florida Gators perspective, the worst Florida draft since 1980. 44 years since we were that poor. I hate to say, you hate to rag on the former coach and his crew. And let me say this. It's not all on Dan, because all this stuff began the day Urban Meyer walked away, and we did not do the right thing and hire the right kind of coaches, etc. We've been on a descent since then. The SEC a little bit down, only 59 guys selected, but that has to do with the fact that the SEC is a very young league this past year. I would suspect next year there will be upwards of 70 guys from the SEC drafted, maybe even more than that. I think we'll get a record number next year. But just the same, a lot of quarterbacks taken. I would not personally have taken Caleb Young with the first draft pick. I would have taken Jaden Daniels myself. I think Jaden Daniels is going to be the stud of that class. A little bit surprised that the Falcons went with Michael Penix Jr., but when you consider the injury history of Cousins, then okay, that maybe that's understandable. I think there are a couple of steals in the draft that are out there. Unfortunately, we won't be looking at any of the steals from the draft who are from the University of Florida. But I think there's some out there. I think a former Gator, Tyron Hopper, for example, who was out of Missouri, and I think a third-round draft pick. I think he's going to prove to be one of the real steals in this draft. Great kid. I wish that we had never let him. I wish we'd been able to retain him, I guess is the word I want to say, but we didn't. I think this is rock bottom. Everybody says you got to get to rock bottom before you really can go back up again. And I think this is rock bottom from a standpoint of overall talent acquisition. And let's face it, this is the talent acquisition business. It's like the late Al McGuire once told me, he said, coaches have their impact in practice. He says you have good practices, the games take care of themselves. He says once you get in a game, the coach maybe makes 2 or 3 decisions that really affect the outcome of the game. He says it's in practice that you really affect it. And, you know, I look at this and I think that we're going to start seeing better play because I think we're going to have the better practices. I think that Florida has turned the corner on this. I talk to people every day, and as I had said earlier in the show before Freddie came on, I see people trending toward Florida. You even mentioned Paul Feinbaum is starting to come around on this. And people are, you know, I picked last week, I picked Florida. I turned the SEC into 4 quadrants, okay? The 4 halves, the 4 wannabes, the 4 who wish they could be a wannabe, and the 4 bottom feeders. And I got 4 in Florida in the 4 wannabes. And I think that the schedule's brutal, but I think that they finally got the talent. And I think that I think Billy made the right adjustments in his coaching staff. I think bringing in Ron Roberts was an absolute brilliant. You want to talk about steals, not steal of the draft, but a steal. And I think getting Ron Roberts is going to prove to be that steal for the Florida coaching staff. I'm optimistic about the Gators, buddy. I'm optimistic about the future of the SEC. I think adding Texas and Oklahoma is going to prove to be, you know, far greater impact than the Big Ten adding the 4 teams from the Pac-12.
Yeah, I think you're right. Let me just say a word about Ricky Pearsall. What can we say about Ricky Pearsall? I mean, that news was so welcome and so warmly received that he was the first-round draft choice. And boy, if anybody ever deserved it, he did. He played his heart out for Florida. Yeah. He made big-time plays. Oh, and that you see the one catch there sticking out of the side of the screen Brendan put up there. Ricky Pearsall, congratulations. I will be personally pulling for him. And isn't it ironic that he went to Steve Spurrier's old team, the 49ers, as a first-round draft pick? So congratulations, Ricky. Florida's proud of you. You'll always be a hero back here for what you did. You carried this team through some lean times, and I'm so happy for him. Now, having said that, I want to remind folks tomorrow night, the real show will be on. Brendan Martin is hosting. He'll be with Rob. By the way, Rob, who, by the way, is the host of Sidelines. And he'll be on with David Whitley and also Coach Moulton. No, Coach Moulton. My brain dead. Anyway, we'll have our cast tomorrow night. Brendan will be hosting, and he'll be there. I'll be at the dinner tomorrow night with Freddie and Patrick Young. We'll catch back up with you on when I have a new computer, hopefully on Wednesday. So, all right, Francis, take us home with this. Where we go from here, it's a long summer. Let's hope there are no names of Gators on police blotters. They get through that and things go well and they start out right and have a good fall and first 4 or 5 months of the season. Who knows what can happen? We've seen it happen before.
Yeah, and let me throw one quick thing in there also about the 49ers. Their quarterback is a guy named Brock Purdy, who's from Gilbert, Arizona. And not too far away from Tempe, where Ricky Pearsall's from. They've known each other since they were kids. And I don't think it was a coincidence that the 49ers took Ricky Pearsall. I think they asked Brock Purdy, we need a receiver. Who are the guys out there that we're going to be able to get? And I think Brock Purdy probably said, get me this guy. I really do believe that.
For sure.
I think we're coming on a very, very good tough stretch for the baseball team. But I was encouraged, even though they lost 2 out of 3 this weekend, they got the pitching. And I just got to believe that Kevin O'Sullivan, with the extra pitching that he discovered, he's got a guy now in the bullpen he can depend on in Fisher Jameson. Brandon Neely had a great start Saturday. Pierce Coppola, I think is going to end up being a real stud, even though it's late in the year. I think the Gators, because they've got the next 8 games, buddy, what is it? Yeah, the next 8 games are at home. You got Florida Atlantic, you got the Aggies in for 3, you got South Florida in for 1, and then you got Kentucky in for 3. 8 games, I think, can determine what the Gators are going to do. Softball, Florida's right there. I don't think they're going to win it all, but they think they could finish second, which I think would be an accomplishment for all these freshmen. The SEC track championship coming up this weekend here at Gainesville, University of Florida. Think about this, buddy. Mike Holloway, the Florida coach, 14 national championships he's won as a head coach. If you add the coaching staff of each school in the SEC, including Texas, including Oklahoma, you add them all together, nobody's got 14 national championships, their entire staff, but Mike Holloway does. So go out and support the Gators this weekend. Watch them. Mike Holloway is getting this team ready for the Nationals. They had great finishes at the indoors. They're a better outdoor team than they were indoor. It's going to be a great, great time.
Yeah. Don't forget tomorrow night, Brendan will be hosting. I'll try to drop in if I can. Rob Brown will be there. He's normally on Monday nights. He was tied up as well. We'll have him and Lauren Meadows, or Coach Meadows will join us. We'll have a good show tomorrow night. And then on Wednesday, it's the Sweet and Sour Show with Allie and David, and we'll have Scott Carter as well. So all some good stuff happening. Francis, it's been an interesting couple of days, and let's hope things keep going the right direction. I'm really encouraged by what I see happening to Florida victorious, and you talk about an amazing situation. With a guy like to have Freddie right there. So, all right, you take care, Francis. Good job. Thank you. Don't forget to read France. Subscribe to this show. Read France Beard on Gatorade every day. I'm Buddy Martin, and on behalf of my staff, I want to say, by the way, thanks to Renstar Medical Research. You want to check them out. They're checking on our health every day. If you would like to participate in some of their clinical studies, it takes you, the volunteer, to do that. So go to renstar.net to find out how you might qualify for some of their clinical studies, which they use to test new therapies. They bring new therapies to this market after doing exhaustive studies. No one does more. And volunteers like you make a difference. That information goes out to these large biomedical companies. They make the medicines we need, and they do the job for us. So Renstar Medical Research seeking tomorrow's answers to health questions today. Brendan, are you there? All right, I think he's going to say goodnight along with me. Thanks. Sorry for all the problems, folks. I'm another year older, and I made it through. It's been a good night. Thank you for listening. Thanks for watching. I'm Buddy Martin. Have a great night.